with my buddy Sal the Bookmaker.
Yes!
Today's show was brought to you by Legal Shield, providing legal protection and peace of mind for less than $1 a day. Legal Shield can help with traffic tickets, texting and driving, DUIs, court appearances, estate planning, and even contracts given to you that you just don't understand. Plus a whole lot more. Call Legal Shield right now at 213-245-1305. That's 213-245-1305. Again, 213-245-1305. Or visit them online at nocourt.us.
Yes!
And welcome to everybody on Facebook Live as well that's watching from around the world. We have no idea where they're watching from, but we have a lot of people following Place Your Bet now. How about a big round of applause for Place Your Bet?
Yes!
This is all Sal the Bookmaker's doing. Okay. Sal, you're a social media whiz. I got to admit, like we've been doing this here for a little over a month now. And, I know we took a shot at this a couple years ago, but I'm really impressed with the way you attack the social media. You and my daughter and my son have a lot to talk about. Like, they're social media experts. One's 17, one's 18. And here's Sal, the Bookmaker.
I'm halfway to 100 and what, right?
You're like in the same line of work as them now.
It seems that way sometimes, doesn't it?
Excellent work. So we were, coming into the week, we were 7 out of 18. And you were at
coming into the week, we were 17 out of 18 last week, a week ago at this point.
Yes.
We were 15 out of 16 a week ago coming in, and then we finished the week out. It was on, as of this weekend, because, I gave away. Now, for all you people out there that still don't believe in Place Your Bet and what we're doing here, I got bad news for you. If you're not cashing tickets, you're the fool. Because what are we doing? We're picking winners. I gave away specifically last week. I gave away Liberty. Liberty over Norfolk State. I laid the 29.5. And you were like, what?
Well, first of all,
Liberty, what?
Let them know. It's a college football team.
It's a college football game. Anyway, so I gave away Liberty over Norfolk State. And I also said I'm going to give it away for free. I'm going to give Fresno State away against Boise State. And yes, Fresno State ends up winning the game 19-16.
You called it all week long. It's the first time. It's the first time Fresno State has ever won in the blue turf. They were 0 for 10.
Yes!
Right? That was excellent call there.
Sal the Bookmaker. It's unbelievable.
I got to give a shout out to my buddy Luther Mumphrey, who actually went to Norfolk State, and he said, I don't see my team losing by that much. Well, he was wrong. So Bookmaker called it.
Right. And I also gave away Arizona. Green Bay over Arizona, and that was the one loss I had. I mean, I think everybody in the world had Green Bay losing that or winning that game, and they lost.
Listen, that was such a shocking loss. They fired the coach.
I mean, look, this is what happens when you lose a game that you're supposed to win, and you're supposed to win by double digits. You don't deserve to have a job. So McCarthy, you're out of here.
Yeah, well,
exactly. But I also gave away I was going to say the San Diego Chargers, but the LA Chargers with a nice win in Pittsburgh.
See, I write it down as San Diego. I know they're the LA Chargers, but I have it on the hit list. I write it down as San Diego. Listen, I can't help it. And you know what? I'm not gonna apologize. I'm gonna probably call them San Diego for a couple more years until I get used to them being in LA. Because to me, when I see
they move back to San Diego.
Well, yeah. I mean, but if I see the lightning bolt, I just think San Diego. But I know it's an LA team now, and we're gonna get into this later in the show.
Okay, so from last week to right now, we have given away 23 winners against 2 losers.
23 out of 25.
It's completely insane. It's straight up insanity.
For all of
Nobody does that.
All of you math experts, we're at 92%.
That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
And
that goes to you, to Mike in Paducah, Kentucky, that's watching us right now. A big welcome to Place Your Bet.
Hey, welcome, Mike. I love Paducah.
Gus, what do you know about Paducah?
Listen, I know Paducah.
What do you know about
Kentucky.
it?
Like Sal the Bookmaker.
Wait a minute. What do you know? And I'm zooming in on you. What do you know about Paducah, Kentucky?
Like Sal the Bookmaker, I've performed in 38 states in this great country. 38 states, okay? And Kentucky's one of them. I performed in a couple places in Kentucky. I actually performed in a sports bar in Paducah, Kentucky about 13 years ago when I was opening for Ralphie May.
Nice.
The great comedian, the late great comedian, one of my dear friends who passed away last year. But he took me through the Southern Belt. He loved the idea of an Italian doing I'm not in the mafia jokes in Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee. So I had a lot of fun down there.
Okay.
All right.
All right. I'll give that one to you. And Mike says thank you for the acknowledgement.
Yes.
There
All
we
right.
go.
Great news.
So let's get to some of the games here this week. Of course, the shocker was Green Bay losing, like we were
Right.
saying, and then the double shocker was them firing Mike McCarthy the way they did, only because it's the first time in 98 years that Green Bay's ever fired a coach in the middle of the season.
Yeah, I got a call from Marv Fleming today. And Marv called me up. He goes, so what do you think about McCarthy getting fired? I'm like, well, gee, Marv, you played with him. You won 3 championships with him. What do you think about it? And he started telling me, I'm like, buddy, I got to tell you, it was written on the wall before the game even started. You have to beat Arizona. The teams that you're supposed to beat, you have to beat, especially when you think about what happened earlier in the day. Look, the Bears lost, right? And so you knew the Vikings were going to lose against the Patriots. So that means
The Lions lost.
well, never mind them. They're in the basement. But the fact is, you got a chance to do what? To pick up a game on the teams ahead of you. And you can't do that against the team that you should be pummeling into the ground. You don't deserve a job.
Well, we were on this, too, because a few weeks ago I asked you about McCarthy. I think we were just hanging out,
yeah,
just talking.
yeah.
And you thought he was going to get one more year after this. But then in the last
I
couple
think
weeks.
the whole world thought that.
Well, I was thinking that he was gone at the end of the year. I thought, I don't know why. I don't have any inside information, but you know how
there
close.
is no inside information.
No, there isn't any anymore. But you know how closely I follow this stuff too. I pay attention.
Right.
I just could feel the pulse of that organization, just the weird things that you're hearing, and I felt like this was it for him. But in the last week or so, you started saying, I don't think he survives at the end of the year. Of course, we thought he was going to get fired at the end of the year, which they call Black Monday. The Monday after the last regular season game, most of the coaches are let go.
Right.
So, I don't know, something happened where Mark Murphy's now running the show there. Mark Murphy replaced Ted Thompson, who was the GM president for years. He was the guy that moved Brett Favre out and drafted Aaron Rodgers and moved Aaron Rodgers in. But Mark Murphy removed him. He put the new general manager, Brian Gutekunst.
What'd you call me?
What? I knew you were going to jump on that word. What? But I said the word correctly. Brian Gutekunst. So
say it again.
It's the last
Say
time
it
I can say
again!
that. But Mark Murphy made this call.
Right.
This is his call. He's running the show now.
Right.
And very surprising in Green Bay. I'm sure everyone there is shocked. And listen, the guy won 120 games. He was in the playoffs 9 out of 12 years, and he won a Super Bowl. It's a tough way to go out.
Hey, it is what it is. You're only as good as your last performance. And if your last performance is a terrible loss to Arizona in Lambeau Field in December, something tells me you don't belong having a job as the head coach of that team.
Now, Mike McCarthy is not a bad guy. We make a joke.
Hey,
with
I
this,
don't
right?
know him personally. All I know is
Seems
he
like
got
not a bad
canned.
guy. He
How
got
do you
canned.
know? Right. I don't really give
yeah,
a
we don't
damn
know.
if he's a good or a bad guy.
Yeah.
All I know is, as a Bears fan, it's a happy day when something bad happens in Green Bay.
Okay,
How about a big
spoken.
round of applause?
Big round of applause for the Bears.
Yes. Bears.
So now the Bears took it on the chin in New York, and you, again, that's not a surprise to you. You did not want to bet the Bears.
No.
And that line was going down.
Did not like the game at all.
So the money flow was turning you off on the Bears. A couple things that came out of that game. I mean, the Giants, they have talent. They got Saquon Barkley. They got Odell Beckham Jr., who I think, by the way, I think Odell might be the best quarterback on the team.
Well, with Odell Beckham, with his alligator arms, I don't know, buddy. He may not be the best quarterback on that team.
He's got the only 2 touchdown passes of over 40 yards this year. Did you see the one he
I
threw to
know.
Russell Shepard?
Yeah,
He's got
I know.
another one earlier, 55 yards. He's not a bad thrower.
No, but he's gonna have to just shave his head so he doesn't have that
Yeah, I
stupid
know,
hair
you know,
color.
You can't talk about Odell Beckham without talking about his head. I
can't
love it.
stand that hair.
It's like, I know. Hey, listen, he's unique. Let's just look at it that way.
He's just trying to be
He's
different.
unique.
All he needs to do is perform on the football field. That's it. Even Nate Schmidt doesn't like it.
Okay, but what happened? What happened to the Bears giving up 30 points to the Giants? I mean, that the Bears are supposed to be better defensively than that.
Well, I don't have an answer for that.
Okay,
I
all
don't
right.
like that.
Well, one thing though, I felt like this game, the Bears were dead in the water. They scored 10 points in the last minute and 5 seconds.
I watched it. Listen, I watched it like you.
That's not a bad sign for the Bears in the next 3 or 4 weeks to be able to get into that game and to be able to pull that out. That's an excellent sign for them.
Well, look, and what it showed me is even with your backup quarterback, you could still score 30 points.
My dad watched that game. My dad's still a New York Giant fan, has been, for his whole life. He was not impressed with Chase Daniel. He said,
Well,
he doesn't watch all the games. He goes, that backup quarterback stinks. I said, he played well the previous game at Thanksgiving.
Well, Mike from Paducah says they lost because they played Chase. Now, I don't really believe that. I mean, look, he fumbled the ball 3 times in the last possession, whatever. But you got to also look at the idea that
So he pulled a Rex Grossman, fumbling and kicking it all over the place?
Right. Yeah, but remember, the team was still moving the ball. Outside of that last sequence, whatever, they were still moving the ball. And it wouldn't have been any better with Mitch Trubisky because Trubisky doesn't know how to do anything other than throw to the first receiver he sees. If he doesn't see an open receiver, he runs with it, which isn't the worst thing in the world. But the problem is he doesn't know how to check down.
Okay.
And there lies the problem.
So he needs to learn how to hold the ball for a couple extra seconds and dump it off to one of those running backs like Terry Cohen.
He needs to look for not just one guy. You need to know how to read the field. Just like reading the money at the sports book, it's the same thing. You got to know how to read the money. You got to know how to read the field. It's the same thing.
The only difference is at the sports book, when you're reading the money, you don't have 320-pound linemen coming from your blind side ready to take you out. That's a big difference. It's
yes, you
harder.
do. You may have No Face Tony and Joey Bag of Donuts over there waiting to collect from you as well. Don't say, because those guys are 350 pounds.
They are, but they don't move as good as Olivier Vernon or their old player Snacks Harrison. They don't move as quick as those guys, right?
Snacks Harrison.
David Snacks Harrison.
No, I know.
One of the
I love the
all-time
name.
great nicknames.
No,
right?
I love the name.
I love the name. Nick
Well,
Nick.
you know,
You remember Pot Roast?
Yeah, but listen to this. So in baseball, you've seen Bartolo Colon. You know, we on the sports.
Love Bartolo
on the
Colon.
sports circuit. On the sports circus, we named him the Big Buffet, right? And then there's a guy that plays in Anaheim, and what the heck is his name? I forget. Some big Latin guy, and he's so large that I call him the Big Snack Bar. I mean, he's not as big as the Big Buffet, but the Big Buffet is a great name for Bartolo Colon. It stays.
Yes, they call him the Big Sexy.
Big Sexy, my ass. No, he's the Big Buffet.
Listen, some women are into that. They like a full-figured guy.
I don't know. I don't want to hear about your personal problems, mister. All I want to know is, what are we going to talk about next?
Listen, the Chargers going to Pittsburgh and
right,
huh?
Right.
Okay, now you.
Look, Pittsburgh fell asleep, and look, there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens in these games, and look, you could say that maybe the Steelers fell asleep for the same reason maybe Memphis fell asleep against Central Florida. Well, guess what? Central Florida came out in the second half of that game. They scored 35 points. 5 possessions, 5 touchdowns to 3 points for Memphis. Now, you look at the Pittsburgh game. What did Pittsburgh do? Pittsburgh went to sleep when they had a lead.
Okay.
That's really what happened there.
A couple numbers. You know I'm a numbers guy here. A couple numbers. They were 174-0-1 when leading by 16 points at any time in the game.
Right.
Think about that. I mean,
how'd
that's
that
ridiculous.
work out?
That's ridiculous. And then, of course, you've been highly critical of Phillip Rivers, and for good purposes,
right,
because you call him a 58-minute quarterback. But this year, in the last year or two, the last couple of years, he's playing much better. He's playing a full 60 minutes, and he's not shooting and not throwing interceptions.
I would say this year he's playing a 60.
Yes, and
I'll give it to him.
And last year too, he didn't have as many interceptions as 2 years ago, so he's cut down the interceptions, and he just played terrific in the second half last year. He's got weapons. He's got a lot of weapons on the outside, and he played without Melvin Gordon with their star running back.
Well,
right?
the funny thing is with his interview, his post-game interview. Did you watch it?
I didn't see his post-game interview.
Okay, the post-game interview, it kind of made me laugh because when he took his helmet off, he looked like he was 12 years old.
Yeah, he does look young.
I mean, he looked as young as some of those kids that he's got in his army of kids.
Got 8 kids.
It was humorous.
Got
of
a happy
course.
family. So, Eli Manning and him came. Ben Roethlisberger, and Rivers all came in the same draft class, 2004, and they're all incredibly durable. I mean, Roethlisberger, he plays with injuries, but Rivers
remember,
is durable.
Look, in the last 30 seconds of the segment here, the fact is, yards come cheap in the NFL for passers these days. It's not like the old days when you actually had a running game. And this is the one thing I like about New Orleans. They've got 2 really good backs. The Bears have a couple of good backs, a couple of diversified backs too. So guess what? We're going to talk a little bit more about this when we come back here at Place Your Bet. I'm Sal the Bookmaker. Don't go anywhere. All right, mic's off.
Mics are off first.
Yep, mics are off. Okay. Hey, Mike, what's going on, buddy? What's happening? I don't know if any of this is helpful to you, but Mike is he's back in Kentucky and is watching us, and
Nice.
yeah, good
All
stuff.
right.
Yeah,
Good stuff, Mike.
people
Welcome.
from Mike, are you following Place Your Bet as well? Did you click the like and the follow button? See, we're just waiting for him to respond. Maybe some 1 or 2.
So I want to finish up with San Diego, Pittsburgh a little bit more.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he says, I almost gave up. There was news on. What news? What the hell are you talking about? Gave up when you can give up? This is better than the news. You watch that same crap all night long. We're only on once a night for 1 hour.
It's on a loop.
Right. He said, yes, I did. All right. Attaboy. All right.
So I want to go back in and finish a little bit. San Diego, Pittsburgh. One of the things that I alluded to during the week was how Pittsburgh is not helped by Roethlisberger with those talking about the other players, and I see them coming apart at the seams a little bit. When the going gets tough, they're not making the big plays. I want to finish up on that.
All right.
And then I want to go to New England, Minnesota.
That was an easy one. I thought it was very easy.
I got a couple. That was an easy one. You called that one too.
That was easy money.
New England's just consistently tough.
No, you know what it was? It wasn't really the game itself. It was the line. I bet the line, not the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
What was
the line was 5.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Just incredible. So I want to go back to that. I want to talk about that too. So
Right. And again,
go to the line.
I mean, look, Mike. So, Mike, every time I watch, whenever I'm picking these games, I mean, 23 out of 25 is just completely stupid. It's completely stupid. But the fact is, I'm watching the money. I'm not doing anything else. I don't care about any of these players or crap. It's just about what's the line open at. Think about all these different houses here in Las Vegas. We have all these different casinos. And then I'm comparing the odds in house A, B, C, D, E, and F, right? So I'm looking at basically 6 different casinos, and I'm looking at who's open, who's at this number, who's at that number, why are they at this number and that number, who's dumping at this hotel and that hotel. And then I factor in the strip properties because the strip properties are always off balance, right? Because of all the out-of-town visitors and crap like that. They come in and they make stupid bets. A lot of times they don't really know. They go, oh, well, I'm going to pick my favorite team. It's the New York Giants, whatever. Well, the Giants happen to win this week, but the fact is they'll pick the Giants that are they've got 4 wins.
Yeah, that's why.
And they'll bet it because it's their home team.
There's the public and there's the sharp.
Right, exactly.
The public is exactly what you're talking about.
Right, the public is they're dumb as bricks.
So 30 seconds.
30 seconds, sorry, we have 30 seconds. That's what the fist means, 30 seconds. This is 15 seconds. That's 1 minute. And this is shut up.
45 seconds.
That's 45.
Then shut the hell up, Tom.
I know, exactly. That's gun to mouth.
Okay.
All right, here we go. All right, headset's back on. Here's Nate Schmidt. Oh, here's my promo. And participate with our chaos if you dare. Join me and celebrity guests for Havoc and Mayhem weekdays at 5 p.m. here on KSHB 1400. Remember, folks, it's a circus, and we prove it every day. I want to give it everything that I got. And please let the dice
Love this song.
Let me suit it settle. All right, start it up.
Welcome back to Place Your Bet, everybody. This segment is brought to you by the American Business Trust Company, helping your company with business strategy, sales and marketing, capital resources, and establishing your company with a physical location or on the internet. You decide. You bring the idea, and the American Business Trust Company can help with the rest. Visit them online at www.abtrustco.com or call 657-600-1876. That's 657-600-1876. That's the American Business Trust Company, 657-600-1876. Call them today. They can help your business right away.
All right, and that website again was AbTrustCo. That's ABTRUSTCO, abtrustco.com. Make sure you check them out, folks.
Thank you, bookmaker. Okay, continuing with the San Diego and Pittsburgh game, a couple things that we talked about last week was Ben Roethlisberger causing problems, what I believe, in the locker room, causing distractions. He has a weekly radio show. Last week he talked about, he kind of criticized Antonio Brown for not running a proper route, and that's why his last pass was intercepted against Denver. And you see it in this game. When this game gets tight, the Steelers just are not making the plays. Now, let me ask you something. Does that have anything to do with some of this behind-the-scenes distractions that the Steelers have been facing for pretty much the last couple years? It's been a variety of distractions, but Roethlisberger's been a consistent distraction.
So what you're saying, what you're alleging, is that Roethlisberger is the internal cancer on the team?
I'm saying, yes, I'm initiating that conversation.
Pretty big statement.
And he could be the seed of the internal controversy. He could not be the only problem.
But how come he can't be the motivator? How come he can't be the catalyst on the team? Why does he have to be a cancer?
Well, it doesn't seem to be working. The team doesn't seem to be playing better based off of his comments.
But they seem to be consistent over the last several years, don't they?
Yeah, but lately they've been consistently flubbing it up at the end. They have a hard time with the Patriots. They blew this game yesterday. They blew the game previously to Denver. They're not playing good in the big moments of these games. Something's going on with this team. They're not clicking on all cylinders. They're super talented. I mean, they're leading these games.
Okay, so where are they losing the game? Where are they soft? That's what you need to be asking yourself.
Defensively and in the fourth quarter.
Where defensively?
Defensive backfield. They hurt in the defensive backfield. They don't tackle well. And yeah, I mean, it could be something as simple as that. That's why it's a question to you. Like I'm actually, I don't know if I'm starting a little trouble with the question. A lot of times I think the question, sometimes is a little laced, and maybe mine is. But I'm just wondering if this team is not making the plays. Now, granted, their running back, James Conner, went out with what they call a leg contusion. It looked a little more serious than a contusion, so they had to put
That's a bruise for all you people at home.
Yeah, and he couldn't walk on it, so that must be some serious bruise. So they put in their rookie running back, Jalen Samuels. He ends up making a couple big plays. So they have talent. They have depth.
Look, I think Pittsburgh's problem has been festering for the last many years, whereas, people say in the hockey world, you've got to turn the roster over, right, and stay young. I don't think Pittsburgh has done that much. And remember, with the loss of Shazier back, not too long ago, that was a big loss for the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, and they have never been the same defense since then.
They haven't recovered. He was their middle linebacker. He called the signals, and he also had a ton of speed. Right. He's like those linebackers that the Cowboys have. He's like Jalen Smith and that Van Der Esch. He's got that kind of sideline coverage.
He was like the poor man's Khalil Mack.
Yeah, absolutely. He was a sideline to sideline linebacker. So you're right. They miss him, and they've tried like a lot of teams.
And he was the heart and soul of that defense too. So when you lose your big guy, look, the Bears had that problem when they lost Brian Urlacher too. Just going back,
it took
a
them
handful
a long
of years.
time to recover.
Yeah, they had to find a new defensive leader.
The other thing is they've addressed their defensive backfield problems with multiple first-round draft picks. They just picked this guy Terrell Edmonds up this year in the first round, but they've tried, like the Minnesota Vikings, a lot of these teams, they make multiple draft choices with the defensive backfield, and a lot of them haven't panned out. Artie Burns hasn't panned out.
Right, but remember, you can't just go get a bunch of draft picks and say, all right, one of these guys have to work. You need some proven commodities. You need a proven leader back there. That's why when you lose your heart and soul of the defense, what do you need in replacement? You need somebody else that could pick it up, and they don't have that. They never replaced him.
Well, they brought Joe Hayden in, like top-notch cornerback from Cleveland, so he's kind of the veteran presence in the defensive backfield.
Right. But they need somebody in that linebacking core on that defensive line. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. There's a new guy yesterday. His name is L.J. Fort, a new linebacker, young, speedy. He looks like he could be the guy. But, again, the Steelers are not making the plays at the end of these games. And that was a big loss.
Is that a leadership problem? Again, we go back to that. We go back to veteran leadership late in the game.
And
those
coaching.
Are the guys. Right. But remember, the veteran leadership, what do? They're basically coaches on the field at the same time. Go way back to the 85 Bears. You look at a guy like Singletary, him directing traffic as a middle linebacker. Now, the Steelers don't have that guy. Remember, when Shazier went down, he was that guy. They never got the guy in the middle of the field to do the same thing on the line or near the line.
You're right. So that's probably.
I think that's the problem.
Absolutely. Okay.
So you can't blame Ben Roethlisberger for opening his mouth. He wants to win the same way that Philip Rivers wants to win. And I don't like Rivers, but Rivers trying to motivate any way he can to try to get those guys on his side and work harder.
Okay, well, moving on to the late game last night, or the afternoon game yesterday. New England beats Minnesota. Now, there's a team that doesn't have any leadership problems. They move guys in and out all the time, especially on defense. I mean, the Patriots have traded Chandler Jones. They let that guy Collins go to Jamie Collins. They let him go to Cleveland. Those are star linebackers, and they don't seem to miss a beat. I mean, they dominated this game yesterday. Now, one thing I will say. They did not bat one pass down from Kirk Cousins. Not one batted ball.
Did you
yesterday.
see what I sent to you?
Yes, that's why.
And what did I send to you?
That's why I'm commenting it. He leads the league in batted
balls.
Yes,
I told you they did.
You're right.
I told you.
I have to say, but that's why.
And you're like, well, you don't have any proof of that, really? And that came from a Vikings publication.
This world is my balls and my word, and I don't break them for no one.
Sal doesn't break his word for nobody. He was right on the batted balls.
I told you.
Like I don't know when that came up.
You should know better. I'm going to come up with some stat for that.
Yesterday, not one batted ball. He threw 2 interceptions though late in the game.
You should have got a batted anyway in the first place. Yes, you're out of here.
The Patriots win that game. The Vikings are in trouble. The Steelers.
The whole division lost, though. The whole
the
North
division
lost.
0 for 4.
And that's okay because
tough
the Bears
division.
the Bears didn't lose anything to anybody. And let's face it, everybody else stayed the same. It's status quo. And that's great news for the entire NFC North.
Yes,
Think about that.
absolutely. Okay, real quickly, how about the Save Your Job segment?
Oh.
I want to do this little segment I created. The Save Your Job segment for the NFL
Well, of course he
coaches,
did it
right?
by himself. He didn't run it by me. Now, did he?
Well, sometimes the surprise is a little better.
No.
So we got a lot of NFL coaches on the hot seats, right? And so these coaches have to win to save their job. Well, one of them obviously is Vance Joseph of the Denver Broncos. He won his 3rd game in a row, got his team up to 6-6, right?
Yes. I knew it.
So now here's the thing.
I hate to keep saying it, but man, I've been right all the time.
Yes, you were right on this one too.
Stupid.
Have you seen the last 5 games? Yesterday was their first of the last 5 games.
Right.
But they play the Bengals yesterday. They play the Niners, the Browns, the Raiders, and then their season finale is at home against the Chargers, which is a game that the Chargers may not need to win because their playoff slot may already be set in stone. So they may not even be facing Phillip Rivers in this last game.
Are you ready for the almost perfect storm for the proverbial? Now we've all heard this term. I mean, it may not be legit or whatever, but the perfect storm for the Vegas fix. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
You're gonna love this one. It looks so ridiculously obvious to bet the LA Chargers. It's how hard I have to say San Diego Chargers, right? To bet the Chargers at home against the Bengals. The line opened up at 14 and a half.
This is their next game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, I'm not giving this one away, folks.
Hang on to it.
I'm
I
not
like
giv-
that.
I'm not giving this
Tease
one
'em.
away, but this
Tease 'em.
one, it screams one direction or another.
Okay.
Now, you may think you know what I'm talking about.
That's the first gong of approval that Sel got this week, our 4th week on the air. Excellent. Keep going.
I looked at this line on this, and I was scratching my head. Then I started laughing. I'm like, you've got to be kidding. And I started looking at all the elements around it. Okay, where's the money high? Where's the money low right now? Why is it? I mean, we just got done fresh off of a football game tonight, right?
Yes.
And we already see the line out for this game, and I just laugh because I'm already seeing movement in the line because everybody wants to get it as early as possible. Because let's face it, the earlier you get it, the more proper the line is. Otherwise, you're getting the money play later in the week. You know what I mean?
That's the reason for jumping on it immediately.
Right, absolutely. You always
Okay.
got to bet it early. This way you get the right number.
So a bunch of people jump on the Bengals, right?
Hey, listen, all I know is I'm not telling you nothing.
Yeah.
But there was already some heavy movement on that game right out the gate. As soon as that line was released, somebody dumped a truckload of money on a particular team. And I just started laughing. I'm like, you've got to be kidding. This one is so remarkably obvious. I'm not giving this one away.
Well,
I've given way too many away, folks. You should be cashing tickets. Go to placeyourbet.vegas. Check it out. There's a bunch of different programs on there. Scroll down. You'll see 3 characters. You'll see Tommy, then myself, and then a pile of money. Bet on the pile of money.
And tell them whose money that is.
That's right. That was mine. And what did I do? Where'd you get one of those bands?
Hey, listen. The band's empty right now, but it's
Hey,
going to get filled up.
I can't help that,
right?
buddy. Yeah.
The band's empty. Okay, so back to the save your job segment,
Okay.
right? So Vance Joseph is in line to save his job. I mean, look at the next 4 games that he's
His
got.
job is safe, buddy.
Yes,
his job is safe.
But the thing
But
is,
you know whose
if
job
he-
may not be safe over there? John Elway.
Well, who's going to fire him? The owner passed away. I mean, you think that who's going to fire him? That's one of the criticisms of that organization is that there's nobody to fire Elway. But the other thing is, why do you want to fire him? He made it to 2 Super Bowls with Peyton
That was
Manning.
then, and that was then.
So if he can't, so it's like
if
the
he
Mike
doesn't,
McCarthy thing.
if he doesn't propel his team to the playoffs, then I would say that he's in serious
He's in
danger
trouble? All right.
of getting fired.
Well,
And
here's
that's
the
the
thing.
general manager.
Here's the thing. If they don't make the playoffs with this schedule right now that I'm looking at, Niners, Browns, Raiders, next 3 games,
Right.
if they don't sweep those 3 games, someone's in trouble. I mean, they have a good shot to go 10-6 here.
That's what I told loyal listener Larry from the other show. I said, Larry, look, you have no confidence in the Denver Broncos. I got to tell you, they're a lot better than what you think, and they've beaten some quality teams, but they've beaten some cupcakes too. Just like the Texans winning 9 in a row. Most of those are cupcake games, but you still got to win those games. Just what you're saying about the Broncos.
Yeah, you have to win those games. Okay, another save your job coach is Harbaugh. John Harbaugh, right? He won 2 in a row with the Ravens. He's been on the hot seat too. The owner, Steve Biscotti. I know that's not how you say it. I know. Biscotti. I like to say Biscotti.
This guy.
What a name.
This guy.
Biscotti.
This guy.
Sorry.
He calls himself Italian, but he says he's Italian.
Italiano. So,
Go ahead,
okay,
man.
Harbaugh won his second in a row, and he used yesterday. His quarterbacks were Lamar Jackson and RG3.
And a broken Coke machine.
Right, basically, Robert Griffin III had to come in and play quarterback because Lamar Jackson got kicked in the mouth.
Yeah, of
Something
course
happened
he
to his
did.
face.
Right.
So he won that game, beat Atlanta.
And it still won, yeah.
He beat the dead-in-the-water Falcons. The Falcons are done. Dan Quinn might be on the hot seat, actually.
You think?
And the last savior job has got to be Steve Wilkes going into Green Bay, getting a win with a quarterback that I'm not sure he's ever played out of California and Arizona. I mean, that's got to be the coldest weather game that
He's
Josh
got a high
Rosen's
school
ever
quarterback.
ever played in, right?
The Packers lost to a high school quarterback.
A high school quarterback and a JV coach.
What a beautiful thing for the Bears fans out there.
Well, no wonder the guy got fired,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay, so getting back to that San Diego-Cincinnati game. I like that game. Now you get
That's
the
an
interest
intriguing
peaked,
game
right?
for a lot of reasons.
I got a number for you. In the last 100-plus games, when a home favorite is favored by over 12, they're 64-36-1 against the spread.
Unless you're playing in San Francisco, because here's an interesting thing. If you look over the last 20 years and you look at the San Francisco 49ers when they're favored by more than 10, most of the time they don't cover. It's the dog and over in those games. They don't cover. If they're more than 10 at home, they don't cover.
Okay, well, they haven't been more than 10 at home in years,
Well,
so you're talking about the last.
Don't discount
the last
this. Don't
13.
discount the thought. It's something that I've noticed for the last 20 years.
Yeah, well, that's why. Why is that?
I don't know. It's just something that it's a weird phenomenon.
So the
it's kind of
Niners-
like it's like being at the dice table. So you're at the dice table. What happens? Shooter throws a 7. Okay, here's come out roll again. Shooter throws a 7. You can almost bet every damn penny in your pocket they're going to throw an ace deuce on their next run.
Why?
I don't know what
Why
it is.
that?
It's 7-7 ace deuce. Now you know it and I know it. How many times have you seen it?
I don't know the numbers on that, but yes, a ton. And a lot of people.
And there's no rhyme or reason.
Well,
it's just ironic that it happens.
A lot of dice players, when they see the 7 come out a couple times in the come out roll, they immediately jump on the ace deuce. They immediately throw
right.
the.
And
they
there and
immediately
how
have the
many
ace
and
deuce,
how
yeah.
many times do you see the ace deuce?
Yeah, I don't know what the probability of that is. It can't. It's the same thing.
It resets every time.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's got to be the same
It's
thing.
just
as
it's a
head
weird
and
phenomenon.
tails.
It's it's the same phenomenon is when you're at the crap table and someone's got a hand going, cocktails, boom, 7 out. Right?
Yeah,
there
well-
it is. As soon as she shows up, the wheels come off every time.
Well, a good
Call your
pit
bets
boss,
off.
A good pit boss keeps the cocktail lady far away from there.
Yeah, and you know what?
that-
That's the most expensive drink in the house every
Yeah.
time they show up.
Absolutely. Worse than that. Worse than the cocktail lady, it's a guy buying in, a new player
Oh, right.
squeezing in and buying in
Right.
a hot roll.
Here comes
That's
the cash.
guy that needs
The
to get
cash on the
kicked.
table. He needs to
Yeah.
get taken out
That's the
back
guy that
and
doesn't-
beat the crap out
And the
of.
reason he's buying in is because he feels like he's missing out on a roll.
Right.
Yeah.
And I tell him when I'm throwing, I tell him, whatever you do, don't drop your money on the table. And whatever you do, and if I see
See,
you,
the thing is, you control your environment.
right, and if I'm at the table, if it's on my side of the table, and I see somebody counting the chips, stop counting your
Yep,
money at the
don't
table.
count your money.
Never count your money at the table.
Never heard of Kenny Rogers? Come on.
Exactly.
Come on.
That's the one.
Right?
Yeah, man. You
So
just don't do it.
So listen, Sell the Bookmaker doesn't just place bets. You know, he knows the horses, he knows football, he knows hockey.
I'm a Tozzolino, damn it! I better know it.
But he also knows his craps, he knows his table games. I'll
Oh,
bet you any money you know how to play blackjack too.
I'll bet you I know that the average winning hand is 19.5, and you win 2 out of every 7 hands.
See this?
Yeah.
Duke
I know that
University.
there's 16 10s in the deck as well, per deck, and so forth and so on. I could do this one all day.
Yes. How do you know this stuff? Give us a little bit of your
I'm
background.
Sicilian,
the last
that's
30 the last 30 seconds of this segment.
Because I'm
Give us
from
a
the
little
west side of
background.
Chicago. That's why.
Now, where'd you go to school?
I went to the School of Hard Knocks.
Right.
That's what it was. I learned how to gamble from my family when I was 6 years old. We played the football cards when we were kids. I went to the track. I grew up at the track reading the form and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we'll be back in just a few minutes here on Place Your Bet. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come. Mike, you know that. You know, Mike, you know what we grew up in. You know it. That's
Okay.
fine. All
Here's
right.
your Kelly Vegas thing that you
All right, I'll read
you
this.
don't really need that.
No, I look at it anyway. This is my next read. Da-da-da-da-da, so you can see what I'm reading. It's cool. We entertain and we educate. We teach people how to read.
Okay.
And why do I show this? Here's the funny thing. Yep, you guys are funny too. Thanks, man. Thank you very
I got
much.
another new segment for you, Sal.
We teach people to read, and see, the reason I show this is because if I show this, then people will see the URL, they'll see the phone number, and they'll say, call Cali Vegas right now. Right? So I'm showing it. Boom. All right. Now it's my turn to do a read.
I got another new segment for you. Like you. Oh, this is a short one.
That's a short one.
I got another little segment that I want you to talk about.
Okay.
All right.
What do you got?
I'll throw it to you on the air.
All right.
You know.
Gurman!
You may shoot it down and you might go with it. Okay, we got 45 seconds.
That's fine. That's fine, dude. Relax.
I'm
No,
good.
you're doing good.
I
see you're wearing your Giants hat on purpose today.
Well, I mean, they won. I got to.
Oh, but you weren't wearing it last week. Look at this guy.
No, I
Go ahead, show your head. Tilt your head down.
I wore my Steelers
All right.
thing.
Oh, that's
Listen,
cool.
I'm not a big gear guy. You know that. I mean,
Yeah, I'm not either. I mean,
I'm black T-shirt. You know, I'm uniform guy. Right.
What am I wearing? I'm wearing the company hat today.
Company hat, and you got. I like some of your T-shirts.
Route 66 today. Yeah. There it
Tony,
is.
how's Tony? How's the buddy Tony doing?
Tony's doing good. How'd you like Tony? Tony's a good
I like
guy.
Tony a lot. That was cool.
Tony's a boss from back
So
home.
you know nothing about
He don't know. He don't know
sports.
nothing.
Here we go.
He says, "Pay me." Shut up and pay me.
One gong of approval there. I'm doing pretty good with the gong of approval.
I know.
right?
Well, you're not grabbing your schlong of approval. I know. Boo for the Giants. Exactly.
Oh, so this is a short.
Yeah, I know.
Let me know when you.
I know. All right, here we go. I'm getting ready to do the read here. Put these headphones on. Pockets. All right, here we go. I'll be a millionaire. Okay, wait. Welcome back to Place Your Bet. This segment is brought to you by Cali Vegas, helping people just like you create and host your very own radio, TV, or multimedia talk show. Cali Vegas can help you with everything you need to get out of sitting in hours of traffic every day and host your very own talk show in your very own studio. Call Cali Vegas right now at 949-445-1119. That's 949-445-1119. Again, 949-445-1119. Or visit them online at CaliVegas.com. That's CALI Vegas.com. And tell them Place Your Bet sent you. Tell them Sell the Bookmaker sent you too. Maybe they'll
Nicely
punch you in
done.
the mouth.
Nicely done. You have to bear with Sal for a moment on these because you have a couple shows that you do, So when you say welcome back to Place Your Bet, there's a slight hesitation because you got to remember which show you're on.
I know,
Right?
I
So
know,
that's
because I'm
okay.
always thinking the other one. The other one's a national show, and this one's the local one right here in Las
This
Vegas.
is local AM 1400 KSHP Las Vegas.
Home of your Arizona Diamondbacks.
The Diamondbacks. Did it used to be the home of the Dodgers?
It
People
was
are
home
asking
of
me.
the
Okay.
Dodgers and home of the Clippers. Right now, it's home of the D-backs until further notice. We'll see where it goes.
The
from there.
Clippers, just real quickly, the Clippers won again today in New Orleans.
Yeah.
They beat the Pelicans on the road.
Give them a big
I'm
round of
loving
applause.
This team. I'm loving this Clippers team.
Hello, Clippers.
They're 16-6. They're number one in the Western Conference.
I know.
And it's December now. It's not as fluky as you think. The Clippers are a good
Hey,
team.
I'm rooting for them. I like the
a good
Clippers.
team.
They're a lunch
Now-
pail gang.
Now I'm rooting for this Clippers team. I hated
I
that
think-
Clippers team with DeAndre Jordan and Blake
Right,
Griffin
and with Blake Griffin
and
and
Chris
Mr.
Paul. That
Mr.
team
Crybaby.
cried on every
Oh, I
single.
know.
I hated
You know
that
what they
team.
reminded me of? They reminded me of team full of. Now you remember this guy. It reminded me of a team full of Eldon Campbells. Eldon
Poor
Campbell's
Eldon Campbell
the
gets
biggest crybaby in the NBA that I've ever
gets
seen in my
brutalized.
life.
Well, everyone cries in the NBA.
Was he
for
not
one thing.
though?
I don't remember him being a big crybaby. He
Oh,
wasn't
he always
very
had
good.
the sour look on his face, like, man, well, how come, man? Why'd you do that to me, man? I didn't do it. It's
Yeah.
like, shut
Poor
up
Eldon.
and play.
Eldon had one great
Poor
week.
Eldon, my
Listen,
ass.
Eldon played over 10 years in the NBA, made a lot of
Oh,
money.
he
not
did
a bad
well.
guy. But listen, in his whole 10 years, he had
He's out of
one.
Clemson.
He had Clemson, but he's originally from LA, from Inglewood.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, he went to Clemson. Very good. Very good. He went to Clemson.
And you
He
think
got-
I don't know basketball?
No, I didn't say that. I said you know basketball. So, but he was on that team. He was on that team that when UConn Tate George hit a winning three-pointer at the buzzer,
And there
they
was
had Eldon
crying.
Campbell's face. He wasn't crying. He was stunned.
I
He
know,
was stunned.
but you know that was the beginning
was in
of
the-
Eldon Campbell crying
That
for a
was in the
career.
early 90s.
Now Eldon was a good player.
He wasn't a bad player, but he had 1 week when Shaq, when the Lakers first got Shaq in 96 and 97,
Right.
Shaq had an injury, missed some time. He had a hernia or something, and Eldon was the backup center.
Mm-hmm.
He went in, and he had a dominant week. He scored like 30-something points a game. It was unbelievable.
No,
And
he was a very
yes,
good player.
He wasn't a bad player.
He was a hard luck player. And in baseball, the equivalent of that would have been Ron Darling, never getting run support for the New York Mets.
He was a great pitcher for a while. Listen, if you could get Eldon Campbell on our show, I'd love to interview Eldon.
I can likely get Eldon
I know
Campbell
you
on
can
the
get Eldon
show.
Campbell. You have a good connection with the NBA. You could get a lot of players, and I know you could get him. There's one guy I'd like to get. So anyway, the Clippers 16-6. We're liking the Clippers. The Lakers won again.
I'm going to bring Charles Smith on the show.
I'd love to talk to Charles Smith.
Former Clipper, right?
University of Pittsburgh.
Right, former New York Knicks.
A Connecticut native, right?
He's a great guy.
Yes, I'd love to
Charles
talk to
is one of the
Smith.
hardest working guys. And here's a little fact about Charles. Charles is the only guy that I've ever known, and I think in the history of professional sports, that have played a decade in a sport and that has successfully climbed the corporate ladder as well.
Well, that's fantastic.
That's
very congratulations.
Yeah.
Charles.
Now, Charles, he's a great guy.
Oh, excellent. Okay, so moving on, I want to cover a little bit the college football playoff. The Final Four was announced. Not a lot of big surprises. The 1, 2, and 3. Bama, number 1. Clemson, number 2. Notre Dame, number 3. Big surprise there is all 3 teams are undefeated. It's the first time there's been 3 undefeated teams in the Final Four. That's pretty big news. But the 4th team was Oklahoma. And I think the big story of this was that Ohio State wasn't the last team out. Actually, Ohio State ended up coming in 6th place. If Oklahoma doesn't win that game, Georgia was going to make the top 4. They weren't going to jump Ohio State over Georgia.
It's funny because Georgia self-destructed. Ohio State played a sound game for the most part, right? And when you look at what Oklahoma did, their defense actually showed up. I mean, giving up, 27 points, is a victory for them.
Yes.
Because those guys normally give up 40 to 50. They can't stop a nosebleed.
So, and I think Ohio State finished with 1 loss, 12-1. They won the Big 12, right? But I think the big thing was the quality of opponent in your 1 loss. Oklahoma lost to Texas earlier in the year, and of course Texas is a quality opponent.
Yeah.
Ohio State lost to Purdue, and they're not considered on the same level as Texas, and they almost lost to Maryland. So obviously, the committee that sets up this Final Four, they must have been completely unimpressed with Ohio State's loss and those narrow victories that
they
had.
must have been completely unimpressed with an incredible comeback and win by the University of Central Florida, being down by 17 at the end of the first, down by 17, 38-21 at halftime, and came rumbling back with 35 in the second half. And those guys, remember, they're missing their star quarterback. They did it with a broken Coke machine in the backfield and a German Shepherd out there. And those guys won, and they won handily because that's what they do.
Okay, so that leads me into the second part of this segment that I wanted to talk to you about. The early lines. The early lines have been released now with the Final Four. All right, Alabama's a 14-point favorite over Oklahoma. Clemson's a 12.5-point favorite over Notre Dame. These are supposed to be the 4 best teams in college football, right? Why is the huge disparity? And if University of Central Florida was in here, don't they fall under the same category? Why are they not allowed in this Final Four? Granted, if UCF made it to the Final Four, it'd be a large point spread. There's already large point spreads
UCF
here.
would have had the same profile as Oklahoma. They would be about a 2-touchdown
touchdown
dog.
underdog.
Absolutely.
So that's where I'm going with this. Oklahoma, they won the Big 12, whatever it is.
But the reason that they're in there is very obvious. This is the Kyler Tua show. That's all this is about. It's about nothing more. It's a Heisman preview. It's great for TV. That's what the masses want. People like yourself, you like the big teams in there. I don't like them.
I wanted to see Alabama and Clemson.
And you're going to see it again.
But
that's exactly what you're going to see.
I gotta be honest with you, though. Over the course of the last couple of months, you sort of turned my head a little bit. I would love to see some other teams in this. I'm a little sick at this. Now, Alabama, one of the problems with Alabama, and I've been calling this for the last several weeks, is Tua is injury prone. Every time you tackle this guy, he leaves the field with a new injury. He couldn't finish the game. I was happy that Jalen Hurts came in because I felt like Jalen Hurts handled his demotion so respectfully and with such dignity, and it was great to see him come back in and win that game the way he did. He really handled everything well. But the real story in that Alabama game, the Alabama-Georgia game, is Tua Tagovailoa gets injured, and he's an injury-prone guy. So I don't think you can count on him. Now, they're saying that he's going to be ready to play, by the end of the month.
Well, it's a month away. Of
Yeah.
course he's going to be ready to play.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, come on. And he is the starting quarterback. There is no quarterback controversy there. No, it's very clear. And it's going to be the Tua and the Kyler show. That's it. That is all they want, and it's wrong.
Can Kyler upset Alabama?
Yeah.
No!
Yes, he can.
Yeah, I know he can.
Yes, he can. Because, Oklahoma's going to score almost every time they touch the ball. Alabama's going to have to keep pace with them because Alabama can't stop them. I don't think anybody really can stop Oklahoma's offense. I
Okay.
really don't think so.
Wow.
But I'll tell you what, a great game would have been UCF and Oklahoma. They'd score 150 points in that game. Now, that'd be exciting without overtime.
So if you stretch this Final Four to say the Final Six,
It should be 8. And it should
well,
be 8.
Ideally, 8's perfect. The UCF's in.
Well,
Ohio
it should
State's
be
in.
well, it should be 8 because
Yeah.
the Power 5 each get theirs, and then you have any undefeateds will get maybe 1, maybe 2, and then there'll be an at-large game or 2, an
I agree.
at-large team or 2.
Maybe it'll grow to that.
It has to grow to that.
Maybe as
That's the only acceptable answer.
Maybe as Place Your Bet show grows and your other show grows, maybe you could start planting these seeds. And get this
I've
thing.
been planting these seeds now for the last 2 years.
I agree.
So I've been supporting UCF for the last couple of years, and you know what? This is the only team since 1936 when the AP polls came out that University of Central Florida has won 25 in a row, scoring 30 points or more.
That's a kick right in the groin to the UCF Knights. in
No
Orlando,
other team,
right?
I don't care who it is, no other team has done what they have done.
That's not right.
Yeah.
It's not right.
Yeah,
And-
and they're going to win their 26th in a row against LSU.
Is that
because
their bowl game?
Yeah, they've got LSU
Wow.
in the Fiesta Bowl, and LSU is not going to be able to know how to handle this kind of offense. LSU's got a good defense, but guess what?
Very good defense.
They're still going to be chasing and chasing, and what does LSU do? They run the ball. They don't really throw. They've
well,
had
you know what I think of LSU's quarterback. I'm not a big Burrows fan.
Oh, he's awful.
No, I don't.
No,
think he's very good.
LSU loses that game.
Yeah,
Folks, I'm going to tell
agree.
you that one right now. LSU loses that game straight up. And here's, folks, everybody, if you're a real bettor, if you're not a BS bettor, if you're a real bettor, check out placeyourbet.vegas. Why? Because we're going to have a special for college bowl games. We're going to have a special promo out there. And I'll tell you what, there are some games right now that you need to be jumping on early. And I will tell you this much right now. You go check out at your local bookmaker, check it out over at the casino, and take a look at the early money lines. Because right now, this is the time to bet the money line. Right when it first comes out, you can get them. I looked at them earlier, and I said, this is the time to bet 2 or 3 of these things and load up on them. Seriously.
Explain the money
It's a
line.
straight up bet.
Okay.
It's my team against your team. If my team is favored by maybe 4 or 5 points, whatever, so I have to lay a little bit more juice. Maybe it's $170 to win 100. Who cares?
So if you see it and it says minus 170, that's what that means. You got to lay 170 to
Lay
win
170
100
to win
on the
100.
favorite. And then
Exactly.
the flip side is when you're betting the underdog.
Maybe you get a plus 150.
Okay, so you're betting for every $100 you bet, you win 150.
Right. It's like a
That's-
20-cent line in
Yes,
that.
That's the money line, right?
Right,
Okay.
pretty much. But the idea is right now, pay attention to those money lines. And don't listen to these people say, well, I got inside information. Oh, you're out of your mind. There's no inside information. It's
Not
all
today.
BS.
Not anymore.
No, you watch the money, and this is the time to bet those football games, Mike and Paducah. You pay attention to those money lines, and you go place your bet right now. And if you want a little bit more information, everybody, placeyourbet.vegas. We're going to put a banner up there later in the night. You're going to see something special. It's up to you to take advantage of it.
Beautiful. Well done. Well done. I was going to lead to the bowl season.
Yes!
Because the bowl season starts very soon. And you're all over the bowl. You love the bowl games. I
Love
mean,
the bowl
you-
games. And I'm going to be at the one right here in town.
Yes.
I'm going to this.
I'm going to be there
this
too.
this half-ass
Yeah, no, I'm going to be there too. Sam Boyd Stadium.
Arizona State against Fresno. Fresno's going to murder them.
They're going to murder Arizona State.
Arizona State doesn't belong on the field with them.
Really?
Because Fresno State has a defense. There's the difference.
Okay.
And they could score. In fact, the last time Fresno State was here in Las Vegas, I was on the field at that game.
No,
I'm
I
not saying the
remember, yeah.
pictures, right?
No, I know.
I was on the field next to those guys. I was watching them warm up, and let me tell you, Fresno State has 3 good quarterbacks, not 1. They have 3. Very few schools have 2. Those guys have 3.
Well, how have you seen the other two? Because,
Because
plays.
I was there. I was at when they were warming up. I was right there. I was literally at the yard line, and everybody was lined. The receivers weren't lining up 5 feet away from me. I could have been the next receiver in.
Did you run out for a pass?
No, they wouldn't let me, of course. But no, the fact is, I watch these guys. Let me tell you something. They all can throw with touch.
Okay.
They can throw darts, but they can throw touch. They can drop it in over the defenders. That's what I like about Fresno State, and they have a defense.
So you like to refer to certain bowls as the toilet bowl because this is a clean show and you can't call it what you really want to call
Right,
it. But,
right.
So you call it the toilet bowl, which
It's
is
the
fine.
Spit Bowl.
Oh, very good. So basically,
The Nate
The
Schmidt
way
Bowl.
bowls change now, the last 2 games, final 4 games, which are the 29th. I guess they're both on the 29th, right? And then you got the final game a week later, and then everything else preceding that is turned into the toilet bowl.
Right.
Right?
Well, not everything. No, I mean, look. Okay, so here's a good game. Now, not just because I went there,
okay,
but
let's see.
Auburn and Purdue in the Music City Bowl. Now, that's a very interesting
And
matchup.
tell us, obviously we know, but tell us where the Music City Bowl is played.
That's in Nashville.
Absolutely.
All right,
Good
so
job.
so that is a very
Auburn and Purdue.
that's a very weird matchup. It's a good one. So you have a quasi defensive team with Auburn against a high energy, high powered offensive team with Purdue. And there is no way on this planet that Auburn is going to stop that train from running. Purdue is going to run up and down that field. I'm telling you, man, Knox is going to have a big game.
Blau?
And-
Is his name Blau?
Yeah, David Blau is going to have a big game.
Blau.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, Rondale White's going to have a big. That's going to be an absolute blowout. They're going to score at least 45 points in that game.
Are you
I'm
happy-
saying Purdue.
Are you happy their coach
Jeff Brom.
he spurned his
Right.
his alma mater at Louisville and he decided
Right.
to stay at Purdue? He must know that something's happening there.
No, his guys are coming in. That's what it is. His recruits are coming in.
That's what I mean.
Right, and
He's
just
something-
like-
something big is happening there.
Right. Another one of those lesser bowls is Duke is playing Temple in the Independence Bowl.
Okay.
Now, Duke and Temple, that's a very good matchup because you have two. Well, let's put it this way: Temple's a very good defensive squad, very good defensive team, but Duke has that high-powered quarterback, and they can play defense as
Daniel
well.
Jones, of course, they got David Cutcliffe running on that show. He's
Right.
a quarterback guru. Okay, so you've covered your undergrad school, you've covered your graduate school. So now, where is Loyola Chicago, your law school?
They were in the
playing their
Final
bowl
Four.
game?
They were in the Final Four before. But no, I mean,
That's
look.
some success.
But looking at some of these other bowl games, you know, I look at the Iowa matchup. Iowa is in a game it's way over their head. I think they're playing Mississippi State, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, Mississippi State had a good year, right?
Mississippi State has one hell of a defense. If
One-
Iowa thinks they're going to move
And
the
not
ball
a
on
terrific
them,
quarterback.
it ain't going to happen, buddy.
Okay.
It ain't going to happen this week, next week, or next month.
Okay, listen. In the last couple of minutes, I want to introduce.
Oh,
a new
and real
segment.
quick, hold on, and real quick, the Rose Bowl. Watch and see what happens with Washington. I'm not giving this away. Washington and Ohio State. This one screams a particular direction.
We're not giving it away.
No.
Okay, very
No.
good. Okay, so let me introduce a new segment here. This is a segment that's very close to your heart. It's a segment that you've always been alluding to. I want to do a weekly show me the game that was influenced.
Oh.
Sal just perked up like you would not believe.
Ooh.
Sal just perked up. So we got listen. We got a couple of minutes here. We got about a minute and a half. So I want to go through, and I want you to every week we'll find it. Like this week though, jumping out at me was that San Diego game. There was a lot of questionable calls, and I want you to use your expertise in this area because you're all over this. And I wouldn't call you a conspiracy theorist. You're all over this. But I want you to let me know if there's a particular play.
Oh, buddy,
a
that was
player.
the end of the Giants game.
Okay.
Oh, come on,
Tell
that
me about
was.
this.
Oh, give me a break. I mean, if this was not the most blatant form of alligator arms yet, it was Odell Beckham Jr. trying to allegedly bat the ball out of bounds when he very, very conveniently let the Bears recover that onside kick. Are you kidding
Okay,
me?
so that looked
If
like a game that was
that
influenced.
looked like it was.
And I'm doing air quotes every time I say
Right,
influence because
everybody
you
on
can't help
Facebook
it.
Live could see it, but yeah, I mean,
Can't
it was
help
it was ridiculous. I
can't
couldn't
help
believe it.
right?
Unbelievable.
So
She got a great ass.
so Beckham was looking at something else
And you
when that
got
ball
your
was
head
coming.
all the way up it.
I love that line.
Okay. Okay. So now what about the Pittsburgh game? I mean, there were a couple horrible calls. San Diego's first touchdown, they were down 13-0. Pittsburgh was rolling.
Right.
They scored 2 early touchdowns. And San Diego's first touchdown was a bomb where the tackle jumped off. The tackle jumped off sides
I know.
by like 2 seconds.
Right.
Right?
Oh, and I know we've seen so much of that. It's ridiculous. It's kind of like the end of the Pittsburgh game, you know, when we saw offsides, and you knew something bad was going to happen. Anyway, folks, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you're going to place your bet on Vegas. Check us out on Sal the Bookmaker. That's Tommy T over there, and we'll see you next time right here on your favorite station.
Real quickly, you like my new segment?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Good job.
All right. So long, everyone.
Happy holidays from AM.
All right, we're out of here.
Out on time.
I hope you liked it. It was fun. and Nate Schmidt says, we'll see you later.
You like the new segment, right?